Once upon a time, there was a show called The Even People Show. Here we go.
I got a pretty lady with no like no
Like no
stress.
stress.
She got her own, but she needs some love. She got her own, but she needs
It's
some
loud.
love. She tell me say that only me they make her love. Tell me say
Yeah,
that
I'm
only
trying to
me
wake
they do
myself up,
that
is what I'm
stress.
trying to do right
She
now.
tell me say that only me she
But
want.
here we are,
She tell me say
and
that
here we
me they
go.
make her calm. She tell me say that me they keep her warm. Wine on my body, baby, why that?
Stop. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Even People Show. I'm your host, Martin Matthews, and I have a quick show for you today. So if you join late, you're just going to miss the whole show, man. It's that kind of day. But I appreciate y'all every time I go live. People that check in, people that view the show after, the comments you make. You like, subscribe, and share the YouTube aspect of things. I really appreciate y'all. So yeah, I'm Martin, and you're on the Even People Show. We're gonna take a magic carpet type of ride today. We're gonna look at some things we looked at before. We're gonna look at some new things. We're gonna always read some poetry, and the poetry comes from my book, Love, Life, Confrontation, Expressions, Selections from the Chronicles of a Black Man. It is a book of poetry, some legit bad poetry. Bad meaning good. You know how that works. All right. So, hello, bless up yourself, the iconic advisor in the house, and all the people that are going to check in, bless up on yourself. You know what I mean? So, I'm gonna run the intro. I'm in a satellite studio number like 7 today in the bushes. Easy bush, you're good, yeah, man. In the bushes. I'm gonna run the intro and then we're gonna jump right into it. I have a nice quick show for y'all today. I stay tuned. Bless. And we're back again. And greetings once more from the Even People Show. All right, so check this. If you missed last week's show, last week we talked about the 80-20 rule. We talked about the 80-20 rule in two capacities, so to speak. The first capacity, or the first area in which we looked at it, was as it relates to time spent with your significant other, where the general rule was that 80% of your time should be spent with your significant other, and the other 20% of your time spent with you, just doing you. Whatever floats your boat, whatever you do for you. You know what I mean? Spa day, girls, like whatever. You doing you with that 20. The other way I kind of put a spin on it was, 80% you possessing 80% of the person you want, or more specifically, the person you are with possessing 80% of the things you would ideally want in a person, and what that looks like, and how you navigate that situation. We spoke about, whether or not the 20% that was lacking was a non-negotiable 20%, or whether that 20% is something that if you actually don't get that 20%, you're going to always be seeking it. Because in real life, it's something you need as an individual for you and your, let's call it, emotional well-being. Yeah. Also put some feelers out there that, hey, take your time in the first half of the thing. Take your time to figure out whether or not the person is able to provide that thing for you, or whether or not they are the person. And before you, several years later, realize that you are not going to get what you want from the person you should be getting it from, just don't go that far up the creek before you make that realization. Do you do diligence in the first half? And if you need to cut bait and move on. If the person that you're with is ideally not the person, but don't wait till you're 3, 4, 5 kids in, or 3, 4, 5 baby mother. Well, 3, 4 kids with the baby mother in, or whatever the situation might be, married with kids, before you come to that determination, because it just makes things that much more complex, that much more complicated. If you come to the realization that the person that you're with lacks 20% of the thing that you need, and they are incapable of doing it. Another one of the things we pointed out, that if it's something that's trainable, if it's something that's teachable, if you just, Johnny, we just what should I say, wrapping up last week's show, we were talking about 80-20 rule. One of the spin we put on it was just whether or not the person that you're with only provides 80% of the thing you would need ideally from your significant other, and whether or not that 20% is something that's trainable, whether it's something that's teachable, whether it's something that you can guide them along the path to become the person, what I mean. And hopefully that is the case, and you do find a way to communicate that to them, and they do respond to it, so that you can actually get what you need from your significant other, because ideally that's what we all want, isn't it? And if that's not what you want, what do you want? Get out of here. Stop playing. All right, so tonight I want to roll the dice again on some gray areas, because I got some new insights on the gray areas, and I was looking back at the show that we did, and I was like, yeah, these gray areas are some really legitimate things that affect people in everyday life, right? Now, gray areas, as we had defined it, or as I had defined it, is a situation that you find yourself in, or a situation you put yourself in, that you would not willingly admit ever being in public. A gray area is a situation you find yourself in or put yourself in, but you would not admit in public if asked about said thing. Some of the things we put out there at the time was, and I just threw out some scenarios out there so you can kind of see just how it really affects everyday people in life. One of them being when inhibitions seem to disappear for just one night. When inhibitions seem to disappear for just one night. And sometimes I gave you some scenarios for that, one being girls' night out or boys' night out. You're out with the girls, y'all celebrating something or whatever, and there were drinks involved. There was a certain kind of mindset and mood involved. And for that night, it just felt like, yeah, anything goes. And things might have happened that night that, yeah, you ain't going to talk about that. You know what I mean? If your boss was to find out, if your significant other was to find out, if pastor's supposed to find out, you'd have a problem. You know what I mean? Going to Vegas, and them say what happened in Vegas, teas in Vegas, bachelor party, bachelorette parties and such. Things that usually get filed under the blame it on the alcohol category of thing, because of some looseness going, right? So we said those are some things that could constitute a situation where you go out there and you create some gray areas, or when gray areas presented themselves to you, you didn't walk away from them. You embrace them because of the mindset you were in. And here's the thing. Gray areas come around us every day now. Gray areas come around us every day. And like we said, gray areas are areas where there are situations you find yourself in, put yourself in, that you would not willingly admit to ever being in. They're around us all the time. But we typically are not, well, unless we just love pasa. We're typically not in the headspace where we embrace such things. But there was that one time, or there have been these occasions when you were just in the mindset for it and you embraced it, right? Now, dig this. Another scenario I'd looked at is when your brain says no, but your body says yes. When your brain says no, but your body says yes. Now, being attracted to someone that you should not be attracted to for whatever reason. You know what I mean? Whether it is that you've moved on and you're still attracted to your ex. So like you said, your brain says no, but your body says yes. Whether it is you're attracted to somebody you're not allowed to be attracted to. How dare you love off pastor under the quiet and you know say pastor I'm married man. You have to behave yourself, Sister Mary. I go sit down. Right? These things are all great areas. And if they present themselves, and they present themselves from time to time, people are people who are made out of flesh and blood. The thing is, what do you do when you hear that whispering voice calling you, or when the whisper now becomes a shout? Right? What are the things? What are the mechanisms that you should employ to steer you away from such things? Right? That your or secret side that nobody knows, you know, that wild side, you know, brain says no, body says yes type thing, right? I will go move along through these pretty quickly. Another one we looked at is when the rules are there but not quite defined. When the rules are there but not quite defined, that's when you have some either some unresolved relationship or some undefined relationship. That is when you're in a situation where you are friends with someone and in a one total gray area. But the thing is, you shouldn't be in that gray area. That is why it is a gray area. You see what I'm saying? Because probably one or both of you have significant others. And the relationship that y'all have, it's not really black, it's not really white, it just gray. And you like we said from the definition that we use, you wouldn't really willingly and openly admit that such a relationship exists. You know what I mean? Because of how it might be looked at and the likelihood that it would be frowned upon even. So you leave that as a gray area. Friends with benefits. You know, that one friend that if y'all in the same place at the same time, anything likely to go on. Yeah, that has some pasa gray area type thing, old fire stick type thing, where you know you don't want to really put yourself in a situation like that, because especially because here's the thing with gray areas that I actually want us to look at. The thing with gray areas is that if they were not luring, if there was nothing appealing about them, if they were not situations that some part of you desire, it wouldn't be a thing. It wouldn't be a thing. It's kind of like me with sweets. I can be around sweets all day. Sweets is not my thing. It's not my thing. You know what I mean? Yes, I'll have sweets, but it's not my thing like it is. I know some people like, I can't have no sweets around them at all. Like them just have an unquenchable thirst for it. You know what I mean? Me now, you have to go have some Cheetos and then we go have a problem because I'll eat some Cheetos, right? But gray areas are kind of like that. It is your thing. It is that thing that will pull on you wherever it's pulling on and trying to take you down the path that you don't want to be going down. That is what makes it a gray area. If it was like mere sweets, it wouldn't be a gray area. It would be black or white. It is a gray area because something about it, something about you, something about the other person involved takes you down that path, right? Now, where the another one we looked at is what you did for the last time, and that's the one I put out. Where what you did for the last time was the third last time. And I should do this like how teachers do it in school, where they ask a question and say, you know, they're gonna give you a minute to work on the question. This would be my minute for you to work on the question right here, right now, because yeah, think about that. Think about that one thing that you did for the last time. That was the third last time that you did it, right? Or the fourth, or the fifth, or the sixth. And it's something that you're not supposed to be doing in the first place. It could be some kind of communication. It could be some kind of indulgence into something that you shouldn't be indulging in. It could be something simple as rehab, your diet. You know what I mean? Whatever. A toxic relationship that you know you shouldn't be in, but here you are. You're not giving him another chance again. You're not giving her another chance again. But this is the fourth time you've actually said those exact words because you keep getting lured back into the situation. Like I said, if it wasn't real, it wouldn't be a gray area. If it wasn't something that pulls you, it wouldn't be a gray area. If it wasn't something that entices you, essentially, it would just be another thing. There would be no gray area about it, right? Um, Now, or look at dating the wrong person too, or dating the wrong type of person, where you're saying, no, I don't have any luck with them kind of manner. I don't have any luck with them kind of woman. But you know this. But here you are again, saying you're not gonna again after you've done so before. These are gray areas, and there are gray areas because they pull you in. There's something about the situation that's where you live. It knocks on your door, and every time you hear the knock on the door, you're tempted to let them in. Now it says, one of them says, where you stop and say a prayer just before you sin. Where you stop and say a prayer just before you sin. Let that one sink in. You stop and say a prayer just before you sin. Wearing something comes to mind when I say that. It's like you put on the outfit and you say, Jesus wept. It'll show all of you. But you're in that mood today. So you put on and gone on the road same way. I see people like that on the road all the time, you know? When them put on something, and when them did look upon themselves in the mirror, they had a lot more confidence about it. But when them on the road, somehow the confidence they had dissipated, and it's almost like they're walking trying to pull something down constantly. And you're like, why did you leave your house with something like this, if you're literally going to walk around with a wardrobe malfunction the entire day? You know what I mean? You have stuff like eating something, like we were talking about the sweets. Is not, you shouldn't, or you have an allergy to the bloody thing. But it's like me and ice cream. I'm lactose intolerant. And back in the day, I had a genuine issue with ice cream. Like, I loved me some ice cream. And it's a specific type of ice cream, but I really liked it a lot. So it's like I would stay and take that pill you take when you're lactose intolerant and drink and eat and have dairy. I'd have to do it every time because I wouldn't stop eating the ice cream, but I knew I had a reaction to it. You know what I mean? So it's like, or even going somewhere could fall under that category. Some place you should not go, but here you are there again, right? And you stand up outside and you say a little prayer and you go inside. Probably because one of the gray area people them inside there, you ain't supposed to be going in there anyway because it not go anywhere, right? All right, so when you hear your mouth speak of things your brain can't decide, when you hear your mouth speak of things your brain cannot decide, this is a great area because it's almost like you've been punked. You ever been punked before? Where you find yourself in a situation where you feel the need to respond or to say or to do something, but it's really not what you wanted to say or do, but it's just the way the situation came about. It's almost like you felt compelled to act the way you did. So it's almost like you're saying something, you actually haven't decided on it yet. You actually really probably shouldn't be saying it, but it's almost like you're having an out of body experience standing there, hearing yourself say something you really don't believe, or you really haven't decided on, and you haven't decided on it yet. You know what I mean? Lack of authenticity is a thing. Misrepresenting yourself. All these things fall under saying things out your mouth that your brain really can't really come to terms with because it knows it's not factual. Now, all these great areas that we looked at um, in the last time we spoke about great areas, they are more tangible, they are more physical, they're more in person to person type of reaction. Now, one of them that I failed to mention that I'm going to mention now is virtual gray areas. Virtual gray areas. We're talking about the DMs and the IMs and the whatever other platform it is that you use, and you're putting yourself in some gray areas in those situations because you are initiating and conducting and continuing conversations and communications that again you would not want to be brought to light. It constitutes a gray area. And why are you doing it? Because the lure is there. But you need to realize that that is not a path you really want to go down, because it's no different than doing it in person, really. If there are certain things attached to it. The show I was gonna do tonight initially was Love and Loyalty. I'll probably do that for y'all next week when I get my ducks in a row. And that's gonna look at a lot more things along the lines of what I'm talking about now, and just what it actually entails. You know what I mean? To be loyal in a love type relationship. All right. Now, the solutions we had pointed out as well was just to know yourself and what you want. Know yourself, what you want. Be honest with yourself. Painfully honest if needed. And if you find yourself where you are on the ropes, get some help, man. If you find yourself where you're on the ropes, get some help, because you can get on the ropes. You can get in a situation where you need some help. And there's nothing really wrong with that. People need help all the time. It's just what you do when you realize that that is where you're at, and seeking help is what that should be. You know what I mean? All right. So yeah, that's some gray areas. That's some 9 to 5 gray areas. That's some gray areas that people find themselves in every day. I'm gonna actually read a poem for y'all, and then I'm gonna jump off. Like I said, I'm having a quick show for y'all today, and then next time thing, you know me. But if you join, if you check this, if you get the show after the fact, just do a checklist. Just check yourself. Check if you have a gray area. Check which one of the scenarios that I presented applies to you. I'm going to read a poem right now that's called Gray Areas and talks about gray areas. See if any of the things that are there even remotely applies to you. And then you realize that then are real things we're talking about. Do you understand? All right, check this. Gray areas says where what you know meets what could have been. Where you know you shouldn't, yet you jump right in. Where the black meets the white, but then not quite. Where inhibitions seem to disappear for a night. Where the brain says no, but the body says yes. When you wake up, same surroundings, looking for evidence of sex. When the rules are there, but not quite defined. When it's all in the air, but still waiting on time. When you're not sure if you're coming or going and it all stands still. When you say you won't, but then maybe you will. When what you did for the last time was the third last time, when you'll never think about it again, yet it's always on your mind. When the warning lights are flashing, yet you tiptoe in. When you stop and say a prayer just before you sin. When you hear your mouth speak of things your brain can't decide. When you don't stop yourself slipping, though you don't want to slide. When your heart's not hearing what your brain is saying and you're weak in the knees, where he's bad for you, and you know it, yet you cherish moments like these. Gray areas to the world. All right, and that was gray areas, folks. There's a lot more pasa in the actual poem as I read it. I'm like, yo, dude, what the? Yep. When your heart's not hearing what your brain is saying, eh? Your heart's not hearing what your brain is saying, eh? When your brain I tell you, say no, and you just refuse to hear. Where the warning lights are flashing and you tiptoe in. You're on your tiptoe because you know you shouldn't go in. You know? The warning lights are there telling you shouldn't go in. And instead of not going in your tiptoe, as if it go make a difference when you get in. You know what I mean? These are great areas. These are things that affect people in real life. These are things that we do. These are situations we find ourselves in where if we were asked in certain settings, we would deny that it ever happened. It's not something that we want to actually be affiliated with or attributed to us. But yet still we find ourselves in these situations, and they're gray. They are very gray. And we know we shouldn't, but we do. Right? We know we shouldn't, but we do. Because, like I said earlier, a gray area is only good. A gray area can only be a gray area if there's something about it that pulls you. If it's just another thing, then you're fine. Gray area, we say, is defined as a situation you find yourself in or put yourself in where in another situation you wouldn't admit ever being in. You know what I mean? That one wild night in Vegas. You ain't gonna tell nobody about that. Them could have show you a picture of dance on the table. I know you. You gonna pull a shaggy. It wasn't me. But yeah, that's how it is. That's how it is. If you join late, I'm sorry. But come say it's a short show, I keep to the end of the joke thing. But feel free to go back and check out the show because it's there and it's there for that very reason. If you do not yet have a copy of the book, Love, Life, Confrontation, Expression, Selections from the Chronicles of a Black Man, it's an awesome book of poetry. The poem I just read called Gray Areas is from the book and it's lit. I do appreciate y'all checking in. Jules Tracy said, tiptoe, what she say? Tip on your toe. For that one, you are, yes. You know it happens. It happens. We tippy toe when we know we shouldn't. There's a line in the poem that says, when you stop and say a prayer before you tiptoe in, you stop and say a prayer before you sin. Actually, it says, when you stop and say a prayer just before you sin, you know it's wrong when you still stop and say a prayer. Like you try to cover yourself before you commit the act. It don't work like that, mate. It just doesn't. Anywho, appreciate y'all. Blessings, enough thanks. And I'm gonna be out. Join me next week. Check out the previous shows, like and subscribe, the YouTube channel and thing. And until next time, take care. Blessings.